good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time off to join us today for this webinar. My name is Yi Ching, and I'll be your host for today. So today, our webinar will cover the topic of navigating the path for sustainability, addressing the green action gap. So for today's agenda, in recent years, we have witnessed growing demand for sustainability in the business world as there has been a gradual emphasis on the importance of so. So Schneider Electric has conducted a survey for businesses in APAC to kind of gauge their sentiments for so. And one key finding that arose was that there's still a significant gap between companies setting sustainability goals and taking action to implement them. So in our webinar today, we'll dive a little bit more into the findings of this survey and also help you identify what you and your organization can best do to help close these gaps. Our experts will also help to provide a bit of insights on sustainability trends in the region. Let me introduce to you our esteemed panel of speakers who have over 50 years of experience combined in sustainability and energy-related field. Our first speaker, Alistair, the principal of a sustainability business at Schneider Electric, will share a little bit more about the mentioned survey results and also what SE has been doing in the space of sustainability. Following Alistair, our speaker Bess, Ringo, and Jiro, each experts in their own field, will bring you through practical solutions on how your organization can bridge this green action gap using our strategize, digitize, and decarbonize approach. So without further ado, let's get started. Over to you, Alistair.
Thank you, Yi Ching. Thank you for joining and dedicating your time to listen to perspectives from Schneider Electric. Hi, I'm Alistair Stewart. I lead the sustainability business, which is made up of a team of specialists based in the countries we operate in across Asia. We are a fee-based professional services consulting practice dedicated to sustainability. From this session, you will, 1, better understand the imperative to change. Sustainability is good for business. 2, gain insight about how your regional peers view sustainability. This is the GAP survey. And 3, my colleagues will share with you how to plan and navigate your company's path to sustainability, what I call moving from strategy to action. We take the next slide, please. So our purpose is to really empower and make sure you can access the energy and resources, bridging progress for sustainability for all. And at Schneider, we call this Life is On. Next slide. So a bit about Schneider Electric's 100-year heritage. How has it empowered us to innovate? So really, humble beginnings. Our company is born during the first industrial revolution. And then over the years, we've reconstructed, we've evolved to where we see ourselves now. And today, we have a unique portfolio of connected technologies. We help companies electrify and digitize. Next slide, please. And our purpose is firmly anchored on the United Nations sustainability goals. These create a common language for discussing climate and decarbonization urgency that all businesses can use to engage their employees, shareholders, and ecosystem by publicly reporting to demonstrate their commitment to ESG and communicating their support for social aspirations. Next slide. So, practice what we preach. Through this slide, I want to demonstrate the key milestones and how decarbonization is achievable. What I'm showing here is Schneider's own path, our net zero roadmap, our public commitment to eliminate CO2 emissions from our business. This commitment is based on scientifically reviewed set of targets known as SBTI, Science-Based Targets Initiative. As you can see, it has the whole ecosystem, suppliers, ourselves, and our end users. Next slide. Now, shifting our focus back to our objective today, how to navigate the path. We help you to decide the right strategy for your company and then help you to implement the practical solutions necessary to reduce your carbon emissions, access clean energy, and also to become more energy efficient. Next slide. Obviously, our engagement with your company will have many touch points. What I want to say here is the uniting theme is actionable data. What I said earlier, strategy to action. My colleague Ringo Lam will explain the importance of creating a single source of truth within your company to enable this. Next slide. Now, you may ask, how does a company achieve a path to sustainability? Well, we recommend to our clients to use a proven framework based on a 3-step process. As you can see here, strategize, digitize, decarbonize, to plan the roadmap and navigate the path to sustainability. In a minute, I'm going to share the results from our Green Action Survey. What this supports is why it is so vitally important to have a framework like this. A framework to help you establish sustainability goals and then implement comprehensive sustainability strategies to achieve your targets. Next slide. So, countries in Asia are in vastly different stages of industrial and economic development and at a different starting points on their journey to net zero. Yet, they are expected to meet the same climate goals. As a key enabler for all stakeholders in the energy ecosystem to accelerate their own energy efficiency and sustainability transition, Schneider Electric conducted a survey across Asia to gather perspectives on the challenges and responsibilities around implementing sustainable actions. As you can see here, we surveyed 4,500 business leaders across the 9 markets in Asia Pacific where we operate. Next slide. So, 94% of companies in Asia have established sustainability goals or targets. But, next slide, only 44% have a comprehensive sustainability strategy. Next. Corporate sustainability attitudes face a perception of the action gap. Yes, 94% have made commitments, but only 44% are really putting tangible actions in place. Next slide. So the current ecosystem is like this. Nearly 60% of business leaders feel their company and country views sustainability as a high priority, but 50% of sustainability goals are short-term, and only 54% have dedicated sustainability departments in their organization. Next slide. So, what barriers are companies facing to implement sustainable solutions? Top reasons limiting private investment in sustainability action. We'll look at poor incentives, regulatory policy is uncertain, bureaucratic difficulties, lack of market data, and lack of priority. And I'm sure many of these resonate with you in your location where you're operating at the moment. Next slide. So, what are some motivations for companies to pursue sustainable actions? Motivations focused on greater competitiveness and business growth. As I've said earlier, sustainability is good for business. And we can see across the elements of risk management, increased opportunities, brand perception, employee value proposition, etc. These are all key motivators for the success to implement sustainability. Next slide. So now the question, how can companies become more efficient and sustainable? So energy efficiency and digitalization are the key enablers. And we'll see here that nearly 100% of respondents agree. Business leaders agree digitization is key to their corporate sustainability strategy, and agree that energy efficiency is a crucial part in their overall sustainability strategy. So I'm going to finish here. You now know what the green action gap is and what you need to do to close it. You know Schneider Electric is here to support you through the sustainability business consulting practice. I've shared a framework to help you, and my colleagues will now explain the details of each step in that framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Alistair. This is Beth. For the next 10 minutes, I'd like to go in a little bit towards the strategized portion. So as highlighted by Alistair earlier, in Schneider Electric, we go by this strategized, digitized, decarbonized framework for sustainability. Ringo and Jiro will walk you through the details for digitize and decarbonize. Here, I'd like to focus on a little bit more on the context and the needs for companies for different industrial segments in APAC to really focus and address on the strategized piece. Next slide, please. So I note, based on the surveys, as well as the call-in participants down in countries, as well as segments, we have quite a lot of participants actually from ASEAN, as well as a lot of industrial segments. Some of this, what we call the ESG acronyms soup here, may not be that foreign to some of you guys, because to our understanding, not just Singapore, Malaysia, but also the stock exchanges in Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Australia, almost everyone who's joining us today, actually your in-country listed market exchanges already have put in place some recommended sustainability disclosure or required sustainability disclosure requirements for public listed companies. What I'd like to highlight today, though, is also for non-listed public companies. Due to global supply chains, which we are already seeing in electronics, in semiconductor, in chemicals, in different sort of industrial manufacturing, and also in real estates, that the need for non-listed private companies as part of the supply chains, that they are delivering goods or supplying goods to companies within Asia Pacific or outside Asia Pacific, particularly to Europe, where a lot of all this disclosure and ESG requirements are already in place, that the need to actually really come up with a comprehensive sustainability strategy reporting needs is already here. Next slide, please. Touching on what our survey has indicated, it's not just the need to disclose your current sustainability performance or ESG indicators, which already are in place, as I mentioned, but actually having a forward-looking plan, which is actually what this upcoming, already in place, I would say, TCFD, which stands for Task Force of Climate-Related Financial Disclosure Regulations, are alluding to. The 4 pillars for TCFD touches on strategy, governance, risk management, metric, and targets, which, as you can see from this slide, already 7 jurisdictions, actually a few more I'd like to add on, including Thailand and Taiwan, also already have recommended disclosure for TCFD. So not just a shorter term reporting needs as a company, whether it's listed or not, that you have to have some sort of handle of your sustainability performance data, but actually the TCFD, which is aligned with the global approved international Sustainability Standard Board standards that's been released in June, that actually require companies to come up with a forward-looking plan, looking at how the trajectory, not just this year, but in the next 5, 10, and 20 years, as we all know, climate change is actually a longer-term disruptions that's going to be affecting markets, companies, and individuals globally. So this is another piece that I would like to highlight as a big driver for companies to actually invest and look more into investing resources to enhance on their sustainability strategy development. Next slide, please. So this is a brief slide that summarizes the approaches and the processes our team would undertake for a typical sustainability strategy work that involve, say, like a science-based target initiative, net zero target development, as what Alistair has mentioned. A lot of companies already have undertaken that, including Schneider Electric. What I wanted to highlight to you is the work that our consultants are doing. It's not just overtaking what the company's internal sustainability team or corporate team would be designing on and writing up the plan for them. But as you can see, it's actually a facilitated co-working session, a journey that we are actually undertaking from the scoping stage, where the gaps, whether it's in terms of organization process or data gaps, are identified, and also critically, the right group of stakeholders need to be engaged. Here in Schneider Electric, we believe that to embed sustainability into a company's longer-term operational successes, it's not just the job of sustainability team in the company. Different functional teams need to be involved, and this is what we mean in the scoping stage. The broader stakeholders need to be brought to the table. Next, of course, we will be conducting a more in-depth analysis, both in terms of the benchmarking for your industry, for your peers, as well as the existing governance and processes that are already in place in the company for sustainability strategy development and implementation. Scenarios analysis would also be key, as already highlighted in TCFD, that actually climate change scenarios are something that from a longer term planning, we believe companies need to undertake. So this is another part of a key piece that I'd like to highlight for sustainability strategy development. The subsequent pieces hopefully will be addressing some of the gaps that we've already identified in the earlier survey, including the needs to prioritize, to remove barriers for implementation, as well as the agreed set of coordination and action items that would be setting the companies in a good stage for implementing their sustainability visions and agenda. Next slide, please. In the next 5 to 6 minutes, I'd like to give you guys a greater insight by sharing 2 case studies that we have conducted an ongoing basis as well for Nevis, actually, in Asia Pacific. Nevis Capital actually is a South Asian based as well as South Asian focused private equity fund with offices in Singapore and Malaysia. Its investment portfolio is broad in different industrial segments, covering from pottery production, manufacturing, education, and healthcare, spanning geographic markets from Australia, Vietnam, China, and also other Southeast Asian markets. The need for sustainability strategy and NAVIS, or I would say the pain points that trigger them to approach Schneider Electric Sustainability Business Team, came from the side that actually the funds investors, which actually comprise of pension funds, insurance companies, and family offices, again, in different jurisdictions. Particularly, I would highlight is the EU-based SFDR, Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, that was recently passed in last year, that actually triggered NAVIS to look for consultants to accelerate and enhance on two key gaps that the team has identified. One is to enhance and deepen the engagement from a sustainability stewardship approach and guiding towards their portfolio companies in the different jurisdictions and different industry segments that I already highlighted. The other one is with the evolving different needs of reportings for SFDR disclosure, as well as also voluntary-based DCFD that NAVIS has taken on to conduct in full disclosure towards their investors, better processes, as well as data management tools, again, is another gap that was highlighted for them to manage all these different sustainability disclosure requirements and obligations that they have towards their investors. So given these two pain points, our in-region sustainability consultants teams from Hong Kong, Singapore, and Australia has delivered and customized a comprehensive sustainability strategy program to address the gaps that NAVIS has shared with us, as you can see from the summary slide here. I'd like to highlight that this is not unique trend that we are seeing for private equity only, and other big drivers and incentives that we are already seeing for companies, big and small, in the region. The need to address on sustainability disclosure really come from the different supply chains. As I've highlighted 5 minutes earlier, a lot of different industrial segments, meaning your direct customers or your end customers in different value chains and supply chains globally will be trickling down and sending pressures downwards to you guys and suppliers in Asia Pacific to get on the sustainability reporting as well as sustainability improvement journey. This is also something that Schneider Electric has already conducted and are embarking on in our net zero carbon journey with our 1,000 suppliers that we are supporting them, engaging them actively to support us, Schneider Electric, in our net zero journey. So the need to actually, both upward as well as downstream supplier engagement or portfolio companies, sustainability enhancement and development in terms of strategy and capacity building is really a big gap that we are seeing. And that's a unique space that we believe our sustainability business team in the region have the right expertise and breadth to cover you. Next slide, please. Another company, another case study, a recent one again this year that I'd like to share with you all is with Razer. Some of you guys in the region probably would know about Razer as well. So we are proud to say that we have supported Razer in their recently submitted net zero target. Again, I think the context for this work and Razer's maturity and readiness for sustainability may be similar to some of the more matured markets audience on the call today. But again, our team, the value for our team's work is actually be able to come through all the detailed criteria, provide as a third party and trusted advisor, and support them to making sure that their submission to SPDI in terms of their shorter term net zero targets would be successful and complete, going through all the detailed criteria with their sustainability business teams. So this is another call that I'd like to highlight for the more matured sustainability companies on the call today. If there is any need to look for, it's always valuable to have a third party to look through some of the internal processes and data gaps that you may not be aware of in place for your overall sustainability strategy, such as a net zero target. Feel free to approach or drop us a note, both in the call or in the QR code survey towards the end of the survey, so that our team will be able to follow up with you after today's webinar. With that, I'd like to pass on to Rengo, who will be touching more about the services we provide in terms of data management for sustainability.
Thank you, Brad. My name is Rengo Lam. I am the Associate Principal of a Sustainability Business based in Hong Kong. I am responsible to leading the managed services in the East Asia, Japan region. And today, I have the pleasure to talk about our data services. Next, please. So our experience tells us that data is critical to monitor the strategies which covered in previous sessions by Alistair and Bess. Lack of data strategy would result in collaboration and communication challenges between teams within corporate and limit the C-suite to develop effective organizational-wide policies. In today's business environment, there's no reasons for not having central access to sustainability data, similar to what HR and financial system did in your organizations for employee and payrolls. However, our research showed that this is not the case today. Only 40% of organizations collected global-wide level sustainability data. This is generally caused by lack of accessibility to data as it is kept within organizational silos. Leading companies see the value in being energy and sustainability data-driven. Many are struggling to see and quantify value to their organization. This is because success will not just be linked to the amount of the data you capture, but more to the value you can extract out from it. Next, please. Nowadays, technology is no more the barrier for being a data-driven company. 90% of executives point out that the organizational culture would be the greatest factor to achieving this business outcome. As Schneider Electric, we adopt the managed services model, which combines human plus technology to ensure our clients are setting themselves up to benefit from their investment in data. Next, please. In the past 30 years, the ESG landscape has evolving from voluntary to mandatory reporting. These guidelines and requirements exist to streamline the disclosure that are important to stakeholders' understandings of a company's ESG performance. They give a company the main points or skeletons to cover, but let the company to decide by themselves how and where to report. Frameworks are important to investors and stakeholders because they are also enable transparent, apple-to-apple disclosure across different companies. While all of these frameworks request companies to disclose the information, the overall goal of the framework is to help companies to produce high quality, reliable, and consistent data and reports. Next, please. EcoStruxure Resource Advisor, or what we call RA, is a flagship sustainability software from Schneider Electric, which is a secure, cloud-based software platform that allows our users to see, measure, and manage their energy and sustainability data and reports across entire enterprise. There are totally 9 modules inside RA, which can be selectively subscribed according to clients' actual requirements. Those 9 modules including dashboard and reporting, analytic and data visualization, emission management, interval data, invoice collection services, ESG reporting, goal and project planning, and survey module. Unlike a standalone software, We provide a holistic approach to our client. For our people, our sustainability expertise and dedicated client manager will ensure the seamless end-to-end data implementation process and ongoing managed services support for the platform. Regular and on-demand user trainings and engagement activities like one-on-one support calls will increase our client employees' awareness for data importance. For technology, RA has simplified the routine data analysis and reporting by providing a fully maintained emission factor library, and it can automatically have a carbon emission calculations with support by nearly 200 GHG protocol hosted in the platform. RA has enabled users to manage the data by exception. We have the outlier test, variance widget, and also our audit trail functions give the client increased visibility of data history and driving individual users' accountability throughout the organization, which help to facilitate the data-driven culture. Next, please. So we are proud to have more than 2,000 companies relying on Resource Advisor to interpret their energy and sustainability data. One of them is Swire, which we started the partnership with them since 2013. Swire Group is a conglomerate based in Hong Kong covering the aviation, properties, food and beverages, and retail business. At the beginning of platform deployment, the two critical factors for the project success will be the time and the budget. RA can be set up and customized for Swire in just a matter of months on time for their global operating companies in different segments. Swire and their opcos can select the appropriate models or modules to use depend on their budget and where are they in their sustainability journey. Today, Swire has achieved as the sustainability leader within the industry with their effort in the past decade or even earlier. Schneider has the honor to be part of the decarbonization partnership together with Swire, and they have adopted more and more EcoStruxure digital solutions like Energy Advisor and also other EcoStruxure digitalized solutions like Energy Advisor and other edge control system and connected products in other part of EcoStruxure. And that can help them to discover the decarbonization insight. This has been proven that Swire is a successful case study for us to employ the customer-centric approach. Some of the important design enhancement and features in RA now, like the data stream tagging, ESG indicator management, are actually inspired by early engagement of Swire colleagues. Next, please. In the future, topics like AI, machine learning will be the mega trend for the data platform. For continue to enhance our user experience, we have launched our Resource Advisor Copilot functions to help business leaders to interact with their enterprise energy and sustainability data at even greater speed. Through a simple conversational interaction with Copilot, you can stop searching for the data you need, and you can just ask for it. Our private beta version is launching over the next couple of months for selected clients, and general availability of the solutions will occur in 2024. Next, please. To summarize, with ambitious climate action at the top of the C-suite agenda, we digitally enable our customers to do more at scale for their business, customers, investors, and also other stakeholders. We believe that sustainability's digital future must tap into synergy relationship between human and emerging technology like artificial intelligence. This collaborative intelligence optimize and sharpen each other on behalf of SE clients. I believe that this unique model in the market would make our user climate action target and goals possible. So for the remaining time, I will pass the mic to my colleague in Japan, Juro, to talk about the execution, how to decarbonize. Thank you.
Thank you, Ringo. Hi, I am Jiro. I'm Japan Country Manager of Sustainability Business. It is nice to meet you all today. I appreciate this opportunity to talk about two essential elements for decarbonization: renewable and efficiency. First, let's talk about renewable. Next slide, please. Yeah. One of the important process towards decarbonization is switching to renewable energy. By proceeding the process, Scope 2 emission under GHG protocol will be reduced. This also has the effect of reducing Scope 3 Category 1 emissions in the supply chain. Next, from financial perspective, to conduct PPA enables to take various subsidies, for example, feed-in premium. That is not simply offsetting CO2 emissions with environmental certificates. PPA can be counted as a fixed portion in the total cost, so it helps to increase the profitability of total cost. For RE100, additionality is also important. New renewable energy power sources have been brought by demands of end users in recent world trends, and that brings additional value and increases company reputation. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here we present a path to decarbonization. We focus on Scope 2 and 3. Beginning is about the start of the journey. We set goals for renewable energy procurement, plan a strategic roadmap, and involve internal stakeholders. And we engage market intelligence and potential partners. Next step are advanced. Implementing the strategic roadmap and the delivery in this stage have a huge impact on the process. Here are some examples of this stage, like execution of renewable energy transactions across multiple countries or regions or globally. Managing the optimization of PPA performance ratio for installations. Accelerating marketing activities to improve your sustainability strategies. Then, leading is the stage to reshape the industry towards net zero. Developing PPA structure globally, promoting the new business model as a standard, accelerating supply chain decarbonizations, which I will show you some examples in the following slides. Then going beyond net zero and become carbon negative. Next slide, please. Thank you. Next, here, I would like to introduce 4 ways for corporates to procure renewable energy. Key considerations are financial, regulatory, and technical, because they have different regulations in each country government. The first, EAC is easy to implement with certain costs, but cannot expect additionality. The second, the utility and supplier renewable, so-called utility green menu, is provided by utility and power companies. What they can provide depends on them and government regulations, so no flexibility. That is also easy to implement with certain costs. The third way is off-site PPAs. I will deep dive this one more in the following slide. They are long-term contracts with power generation companies like 15 years or 20 years. They give you a stable renewable energy supply for a long term. You are supposed to forecast return of investment, ROI. Then virtual PPA is also included here. For your reference, virtual PPA transaction is also already deregulated in Japan after July 2022 onward, same as Europe and US. The last one is on-site PPAs. This requires initial investment for equipment and actual land, like rooftop of your factories or car parking. Increasing the generation of renewable energy will be limited, a bit limited. Next slide, please. I would like to deep dive offsite PPAs, supply chain decarbonization programs. This is a stage of leading in scope 2 and 3 pathway I mentioned earlier. Here are some examples we are focusing for supply chain decarbonizations. Schneider's zero carbon project aims to reduce CO2 emissions by 50% for Schneider's top 1,000 suppliers. Following projects are by utilizing PPAs. For pharmaceutical industry, Energize is a project sponsored by more than 10 major global pharmaceutical companies to proceed their own and their suppliers' decarbonization. For beverage industry, PepsiCo is the project that includes the company's suppliers. For semiconductor industry, Catalyze is a project sponsored by Intel and Applied Materials. Then next slide, please. Here, next, let's talk about the other important element, efficiency. The combination with renewable and efficiency enable to go toward decarbonization. Efficiency is focusing on improvements, how to reduce electricity consumption in your factory operation processes and reduce CO2 emissions. Not only Schneider professional consultants, but also our engineers work together to support your operational improvement. We work on having local stakeholders being on the same page to proceed the projects. And also we support local stakeholders getting agreements from your headquarters to achieve large-scale improvement goals for them. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. We provide long-term support for efficiency through a cycle of target setting, audit, workshop, reporting, and decarbonization support. I would like to introduce some examples and what we focus on in this slide. Eliminate energy waste and suggest right-sized investments in renewable energy and offsets. Generate cost savings to reinvest into your operational program. Optimize processes and systems to incorporate decarbonization into business performance. Next slide, please. Then, as Ling also mentioned, I'd like to talk about what currently is like about data to take the first step for efficiency in this slide. 80% of C-level struggle the accuracy of energy data. 59% concern about comprehensive data management. 40% has a lack of experience and tools for those data. Only 12% of the data is used for company-wide. In short, data is not being captured or used effectively. Data visualization is in demand to take the first step for your improvements. And we have resource advisor, which Ringo just presented. Next slide, please. Thank you. I share with you the cycle to achieve decarbonization by improving your efficiency in this slide. Of course, I am not going to read through all of the slides today, but briefly share with the cycle. There are mainly 5 processes. First, determine success criteria, like targets, KPI, saving potentials. Second, build a business case for your portfolio, like set a clear roadmap. Third, work in collaboration with the field, like engaging actual sites or your factories. Fourth, deploy solutions with impact in mind, like helping you or your stakeholders to make decisions. Fifth, enable continuous improvement, like optimization of the process. I can say to increase renewable energy and your efficiency of facility are key points to establish decarbonization for your company. That is all from me today. If you need any further information or clarification, please do always let us know. We always try our best to help our partner to achieve your goals. We look forward to sustainable relationship on sustainability with you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jiro. And thank you everyone for joining us. So we've now reached the Q&A session. If you have any questions with regards to what we spoke about, please drop them in the chat box located on the right-hand side of the screen. Meanwhile, we do have some questions coming in. Maybe let me just start with this. Hold on a moment. We have a question from Anna. I think Anna is asking if you would recommend to deploy Resource Advisor first and build a decarbonization roadmap from the results, or start by the road mapping. Any takers from our speakers?
Yeah, so maybe I can take this question, Yicheng. So different companies will have different journeys in or stage in their sustainability journeys. So data collection will be obviously a critical first step to start. So once the organization have the data, they can know where they are, and also the baseline data, and also they can do the benchmarking with other segment companies or the historical data. This is obviously a good foundation to plan for the decarbonization roadmap with this data. So according to our experience, most of the company will start with the data collection first with Resource Advisor, but some of them also will do it in parallel, that they will also have their decarbonization roadmap with some of our consultancy support as well.
I'll just add on to that. I mean, let's be very pragmatic here. You see the results of the survey, and it definitely shows there's an action gap. So I fully agree with Ringo, depending on maturity, look at it from a data point of view. But if you're not even started there, then get started with the roadmap. And I think a lot of companies are lacking that foundational element. They've set some high-level targets, they've got some basic data, but they don't have the roadmap to transition through to action.
Thank you, Ringo. Thank you, Alistair. So another question from the audience is from Dr. Rosie. I hope that I'm pronouncing her name right. How does Schneider inculcate the data-driven culture, and what are some of the essentials required? A lot of data-related questions today.
Okay, maybe I can start to share my insight as well. So for Schneider Electric, we are actually have our project, net zero project, to capture our own operation data as well as our suppliers' data. that is our Scope 3 data. And this is a very important step for our target in 2050, that for our net zero, to have this data in place to tracking our progress to achieve our this net zero target. And all this data can be accessed by our members in sustainability business, and this can be helping to communicate with him internally for what is our progress so far.
Thank you, Ringo. I see we have a question on energy efficiency and renewable energy from Jama. What innovative technologies or research is Schneider currently conducting to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of renewable energy systems?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Yiqing. So, as we know, renewable energy, it's there when the sun shines and it's there where the wind blows. So where Schneider comes in is our microgrid services. So through our microgrid services with battery storage, etc., we can help companies absorb that energy and keep the grid stable. So we're doing a lot of work right now in the research that goes into behind these microgrid systems, the controller technology, the demand management, etc. So again, look at our Perspectives website, search for microgrid, and you'll see the technology and research we're putting into that very important area. So that's an excellent question. Thank you.
Okay, one more on the strategized portion. So, Bistasta, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrongly, asked a two-part question. So number one, is consulting within the Schneider Electric Group a for-profit business? How is it different from, regular business consulting division? And also the second question, second part of this question is more about Nevis. So we help to carve out a sustainability strategy for portfolio companies on behalf of Nevis. Is that right?
Yeah, thank you, Yiqing, for bringing this back. I did try to address that, but I'll repeat that again. So yes, for Nevis, the specific work that we deliver, one part of it is for addressing the needs to engage and help their portfolio companies. So it is correct that, yes, we designed and then we work with the Nevis team to engage with their portfolio companies in different industry segments, in different countries, in region, in APAC, as I've mentioned, from Australia, Vietnam to China, to do that in a very condensed period of time, but also to do it in a consistent framework, because this is all portfolio companies of Nevis, that they have, then the other side of the engagement actually had to do with Nevis had to report back or disclose to the investor. That's the upstream side. But then going back to, I think the pointers about sustainability business, which is our team, I think I like to help highlight I believe our unique value propositions in the space of sustainability really is the fact that the core, expertise, we are one part of Schneider Electric, where the two pillars for energy management as well as industrial automations, have been there, as highlighted by Alistair. We've been here for over 180 years, present in basically all the APAC countries that you guys are dialing in, and we also have different segments, right? Industrial segments, real estates, transport, semiconductor, pharmaceutical, life sciences. So combining the fact is that we understand not just the in-market sustainability landscape and the context that as I have highlighted, is evolving, it's a soup, it's diverse, but also the specific industry context as well, and be able and be effective to design for the recommendations that are grounded to help companies to drive from strategy to action. And that's, I think, is a key point that it's a holistic end-to-end that we wanted to help companies accelerate, not just come up with the strategies, but actually to be able to embark on implement the recommendation and the sustainability activities and decarbonization levels that our team will recommend, for you guys as well as your suppliers in a most cost-effective and time efficient manner. And I would highlight, I think that's our team's differentiation and unique value proposition in the space of sustainability and decarbonization. Anything you'd like to add on, Alistair?
No, I think you've covered it very well, Beth. There's a question in the chat that's got my attention, and it is, do we recommend carbon credits? So I want to bring this one up because it is very important. A lot of people ask about this. Our renewable energy and carbon advisory practice will work with a client to review their overall strategy and help with access to purchase of carbon credits. We know there are hard to abate sectors, and as we help them in the energy transition, there will be a need for carbon credits.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Alistair. I think we are about time, so let's close off the session now. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to our speakers here. Their email addresses are all written here, and their LinkedIn profile QR code. Scan them to contact them on LinkedIn. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that you have a great day ahead and a good lunch. Yeah, thank you.